Tēnā koutou katoa. Now, they're just clearing the stage, and that's because, as you know, most of us, we don't like furniture, we just have mattresses on the ground, so there's going to be a few mattresses brought in shortly. No, just joking. Just before Rach gets his last bits of off, we're going to start with a track from our CD. Kaori. Kia ora whānau. Yep, you're good. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ka pai whānau. Nā mihi māhana, nā mihi nui kia koutou. Tēnā koutou nā rangatira o Rākei. Ka pai. Tēnā koutou nā kaimahi o Hauora katoa. Tēnā koe whai alu Jelena, mō tō kāranga, mō tō wero kia hau i tēnei rā. And tēnā koutou nā ropu he waka eke noa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I just put the Serenity Prayer up there for you because the first song that we sing, E Te Atua, is actually the Serenity Prayer, but it's also known in recovery as the Recovery Prayer. And so I wanted to put that there just so that you knew the relevance of it. So, ki te taha o tōku pāpa, no kaiau ahau, ko mā tātua te waka, ko maunga emi te maunga, ko kāinga pipiwai te awa, ko whangaro te moana. Ko pūpoki te marae, ko te huia te whare tūpuna, ko puhi te tangata, ko maki honi heimu taku tūpuna whaia, ko William Zielinski rāwa, ko Lynette Bunting o kumātua. Ko Aaron Tuki taku horangatira, nā toru o ku tamariki, ko Shannon, ko Rawiri, ko Erina Fern, and ko Kobe taku hautotu mokapuna, ko Kaikohe taku kāinga noho. Engari, e mahi ana hau ko Clinical Operations Manager te Ha Oranga. Ko Rhonda Zielinski tuki ahau, ki te taha o tōku mama no Norfolk Island ahau. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Just in the words of Whainata Glavish, she often says that Māoris are individual parts of a collective. And with every Māori comes a whānau, a hapu and a iwi. I didn't think Rach would think too much of it if I bought the hapu or the iwi, so I bought my whānau. And I just wanted to explain the relevance of the kāranga and the waiata that I played, that we performed before I started my presentation. Māori have a connectedness to waiata that feeds our wairua, it calms our souls, and it's considered rongo by our queer kaumātua. And I use this as a platform to set the scene for my kōrero today, which is Kaupapa Māori Wraparound services. But I also used it so that I could calm my nerves, or as Speaker Lucy referred to yesterday, I could curb my excitement. How did I get myself into this predicament? Well, earlier this year, I received a random phone call from my dear friend and past work colleague, Lou Jelena, who asked me if I could speak at the New Zealand Respiratory Conference, which sounded very important. And I was extremely honoured and somewhat flattered. But I explained to Lou that definitely no, I could not do that. And as usual, an hour later, she wore me down and I actually agreed to do it. Boy, have I regretted that decision over a few months leading up to today. I felt like I was so out of my depth and punching way above my weight. And after reading the program and seeing all the professors and doctors, I can tell you on Wednesday night I had a severe anxiety attack in my room and I wanted to do a DNA. But I'm confident that this is a respiratory conference and someone will have a spacer and a Ventolin inhaler. Or as I learned yesterday in a room where I had no idea what language the man was speaking, a lama or a lappa or a something. So if I have difficulty breathing, just please put your hand up. I just also wanted to add that I'm going to share really, really briefly about my journey as a mum who had a son that suffered with severe brittle asthma until he was at the age of 12. But other than that brief mention, I am certainly not going to attempt to tell so many learned and experienced people anything about respiratory conditions. This is not an academic or research-based presentation in any way, shape or form. So for those of you that love statistics, you're about to be bitterly disappointed. My presentation is more about putting your gumboots on and getting in the mud. It's about working with whoever comes through your clinic door and meeting them where they're at, dealing with the issues that are on top of their radar, not yours. And it's about giving appropriate service and being able to show them that we have made a difference in someone's life. I also need, it's only my perspective as well, so no one can challenge it. I also need to thank and mention four very special ladies who have allowed me to share their stories today. One is Dee, the other one is Bess, who is here today, and Mareta and Crystal. So I salute you four ladies. In the essence of time, if I don't have enough time, I will leave out a couple of those stories. My background is in public health nursing. I was a public health nurse. I was a prison nurse, and I've worked for an iwi provider, and I completed the DSM training back in the 2000s, I think it was, or 19s, I've forgotten. But anyway, I'm just really glad about one thing. I'm really glad that Dr. Ruth, you went before me, because you said everything that I'm not going to say, but everything you said is wrapped up and packaged in those 20 people back there wearing purple t-shirts who have come to support me today. Te Ha Oranga, oh, I better hang on, I'm losing my blinking mojo. That's my husband, by the way, and my children. And the fish that Rawiri, I think he caught that one. They tell so many lies, my children. They go to the wharf and they sit there forlorn with long faces because they're not catching anything, and then a boat comes in and gives them a big fish, and then they come home and tell me they've caught it. Little liars. Yeah, so that's right. My son Rawiri, who's the good-looking one doing that in the picture of the waka, I think he got diagnosed with asthma when he was about just under 2, and we spent the first 12 years of his life in every A&E department, and so much so that they knew him personally. They even knew his birth date off by heart, and they knew mine. And we were under the paediatrician Ollie from Whangarei Base Hospital. We were under the specialist from Starship. And we've been in the helicopter 3 times a year, so I now feel obligated for the rest of my life to donate worthily to the helicopter cause. I said to my son, thank you very much for that. One of those trips was on my birthday. I thought he'd pre-arranged that, actually, because I'd never been in a helicopter. We ended up in Middlemore. But anyway, he's like his father. He's a high-maintenance Māori, so for any of you single ladies out there, please don't marry Māori men. They're too high maintenance, I tell you. Sorry, guys. But anyway, do what I should have done. My father said, get a rich white farmer, and I didn't listen. But anyway, that's my son. I was told by the specialist to move to Australia to help with his asthma. That wasn't an option for me. I don't like Australia. But we went on holiday to America, and I have to say that we landed in America and I was feeling a bit like a drug smuggler because I had my bag with the nebulizer and the prednisone and the adrenaline and the needles and everything that I could think that I was going to need. And the reason I had to take that was because I couldn't get insurance for my son. Because when you fill out the questions, it says, have you been in an ambulance in the last 6 months? Yes. Have you been in hospital 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years? Yes. And it just went yes, 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 yes. So I couldn't get insurance for Rawiri for his asthma. If he had an accident, that was all right. So I said to Rawiri, let's get one thing clear. If you start having an asthma attack in America, I'm going to break your arm. And you're going to breathe normally until we get there. And when we get there with your broken arm, then you can start wheezing. But anyway, so better move on because times are ticking. I work for Te Ha Oranga, which is the mandated health provider of Te Runanga or Ngāti Whātua. Ngāti Whātua's logo is the heru hāpai, and I just wanted to take 2 seconds to just tell you that in ancient times, Ngāti Whātua was renowned for a distinct style of leadership. Ngāti Whātua rangatira visibly led from the front, and when travelling across their extensive tribal lands, which now cross 3 DHBs, you'll be really pleased to know, the heru or the comb that held their top knot became a style of their leadership. And so over time, the phrase has symbolised the mana of Ngāti Whātua. Hāpai means to uplift, and so a combination of heru and hāpai became a powerful symbol of strength and unity. The Te Rūnanga o Ngāti Whātua is a Māori trust board with 11 elective board members, and they represent what we have called as 5 takiwā, which is Orake, South Kaipara, which is Helensville area, Otamatea, Whangarei, and the Northern Wairoa, which is where I reside, the beautiful Dargaville. This map here just shows the geographical spread, like I said, of the Ngāti Whātua iwi. It's a huge geographical spread, and we have 32 marae in our tribal area, and 2.2% of Māori belong to Ngāti Whātua. Te Rūnanga o Ngāti Whātua has 3 sacred obligations that underpin everything that they do. Mana Ngāti Whātua, which is a commitment to the tikanga of Ngāti Whātua and te reo. Manaakitanga, which is the hospitality side of things and to care for our people. And kaitiakitanga, which is to look after our environment. So really, the coalition government, it suited us quite well actually, because we tick each one of those boxes. So we've been a bit of a coalition ourselves. So we were quite happy that the Greens got in, and old Winston, but I won't get political. Taha falls into the obligation, as you can see down the bottom, of Manaaki. And we have 4 sites across 3 DHBs, which does bring some complexity to the way we work, because we have some contracts that we get in Auckland that we can't get in Dargaville, and we have some contracts in Dargaville that we can't get in Auckland. And so we often have clients that say to us, how come you don't have an AOD contract in Auckland? And we have Auckland clients say to us, how come we can't see a GP for free in Auckland? So it does make it a little bit complex. We are part of the Manaia PHO, and we are part of the Collective Impact Forums, and we are also part of the Tamariki Order Collective down here. We have a range of contracts, as you can see there. Mobile nursing is our core business, and that's what we hang our hat on and pride ourselves on. We have Tamariki Order, oh you can see there, I don't really need to, and these are all our own models. We use our own photos now because we used one off Google the other day and it cost us about $2,000 in copyright fees, so we've learnt that lesson, always use your own photos. Yeah, it's insane actually, because you can go on Google and pick up all these photos, and some of them you don't actually realise they've got a copyright on, but anyway, our communication manager learnt that lesson. Taha's role is to know our community, to listen to their needs and their issues, to help whānau re-engage into the health system, and to be a bridge and a navigator, an advocate and a supporter. And I just want to give you one example here with a client that I had many years ago who had had a heart attack. And he was I think he was in about his late 50s actually, Richard was, when he came into my care as a DSM nurse, and he'd had a heart attack and he was referred to cardiac rehab classes, and he never went obviously, but anyway, I was working with him one day and I said to him, why don't we have a health hui at your marae, at Taita Marae, and we'll have it from a Friday, Saturday, and we'll have the whānau over. And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. What topics shall we have? And I said, well, what do you want to have? And he said, well, I think we need the pharmacist there, we need the cardiac rehab nurse, and he ratted off a few people, and I said, oh, okay then. And I said, well, when you get all that, you also get cervical screening for your wahine, you know, from our nurses, and you get immunisation, and because there's some things that we just automatically do. So anyway, we had this health hui on the marae, and the cardiac rehab nurse turned up promptly before her slot, and of course she had to be called into the marae. So we called her in, this beautiful non-Māori nurse she was, lovely lady, Wendy, and she came in and they did a little whakatau to her, and then she had the opportunity to stand up and speak, and she got up and she was so nervous, like she was shaking, and you could tell in her voice, but she was so gracious and so humble. And she said, I'm so scared, I've never been in a marae before, and I've never been had a pōwhiri before, and my heart's beating out of my chest. And when she'd finished and she'd sat down, my client stood up and he looked at her and he said, now you know how I felt when I turned up at your cardiac rehab class, and I looked in the door and there was not one Māori in there, and I got scared and I turned around and walked away. And for her, that was the biggest impact lesson that she could ever get in her practice, because she had never seen it from that worldview. She'd never thought that her lovely classroom at the DHB, where she had her cardiac classes, that 90% of the people felt totally comfortable going to and doing, had such a big impact on one Māori male. And so I really applauded Wendy for that courage to come to the marae, to get outside her comfort zone, but to really take on board the impact that attending a simple cardiac rehab class can have on one Māori male. So my topic today is, there's my staff at one of our marae noho. Beautiful bunch of creatures they are. Okay. My topic today is Kaupapa Māori Wraparound Services, and I'd want to just take a brief minute to unpackage what these two terms actually mean. So as you know, you don't have to go far today. I went on Dr. Google, and he said, kaupapa means principles and ideas which act as a base or foundation for action, a set of values, principles and plans which people have agreed to as a foundation. Kaupapa Māori means a Māori approach, Māori topic, Māori customary practice, Māori institution, Māori principles, Māori ideology, a philosophical doctrine that incorporates the knowledge, skills, attitudes and values of a Māori society, and a way of doing things from a Māori worldview. So what does wraparound mean? It means to curl, it means to intertwine, to swathe, enclose, envelope. But what I think of when I think of wraparound, I think of to love, to care for, to manaaki, to provide, to give service, to protect. And I couldn't help but put that picture there of a beautiful baby being wrapped in a nice towel by its mama. That for me is just how I see wraparound services. And so when I also think of these words, another picture that comes to my mind is the korowai, or the kakahu or cloak. And this beautiful cloak here belonged to my auntie, who's now deceased, and it was made by a kuia from our area. And so just to signify the importance or the significance of a cloak, I now wanted to show you a brief video, which is from this kuia here, Toi Te Rito Maihi, who just talks really briefly about what a kakahu or korowai is.
Well, I've met with some wonderful knowledge holders. And aho, of course, is a word for connection, which makes total sense when you see that the aho connects the whānau and the whānau. And I can't remember who, one of those told me, whānau is short for whenua. And whenua is, the earth that sustains us after birth, but whenua is also the name for the placenta that feeds us before birth. And so then, when you put this, but an older name for whenua is io, the omnipotent one. And so, and then I thought, wow, my hair all stood on end, and I thought, when you put a kakahu on, that io is against your skin. And the aho, the connection with all of those elements that you live amongst and learn from, and that you then hand that knowledge on, it's all there when you put the kakahu on. And at that stage, I didn't care what it looked like. It was just that image in the mind of being in contact with the Creator every time you put the kakahu on.
Now I just want to play a song to you called Addiction, and it's off our CD. He Wake Kino, our AOD recovery group, produced a CD earlier this year that they launched at the Matariki Ball. And I want to acknowledge Tāne Ora Tauariki, who's a singer-songwriter that works for me as a mental health peer support worker, and he's an amazing young man, and there's no shoulder tapping because I'll get very, very cross with any of you if you talk to him, so don't even talk to him. But anyway, this is his CD compiled with the help of He Wake Kino, and this is one of the songs that he's rewritten, so we'll play that now. Ka pai. So I just want to say to you that can't see that board down there, it's telling me I'm out of time and it's flashing red numbers, and I think I've been ripped off and your clock's going too fast. So I'd like to ask for another 15 minutes. Thank you very much. Anyway, who's next? Let's start with Dee. Dee was 15 years old when she got pregnant with her first child, a beautiful daughter named Aisha, who is now 37 years old. At 16, Dee's mother passed away at the young age of with cancer. This was a turning point in Dee's life. Dee decided to give her daughter to the father and his family to raise, as she felt like a child bringing up a child, and it's a decision she's never regretted. Dee moved to Auckland and got involved in the nightlife. Alcohol and drugs soon became a huge part of her life. And looking for love, Dee became involved in a violent relationship that was extremely violent and unsafe. Dee's alcohol and drug use led her into criminal activity, which resulted in her imprisonment at Auckland Women's Mount Eden prison. Dee had 2 more daughters, and by this time they were being cared for by an auntie. Dee spent 10 years with the father of her 2 second and third daughters, and this 10 years was fraught with horrendous violence at the hands of her partner, addiction with drugs and alcohol, and unresolved grief. Dee has been in every woman's refuge between Auckland and Kaitaia. Her lawyer once told her that if she didn't have the strength to leave her partner, he would one day kill her and she would end up in a cardboard box 6 feet under. The turning point and saviour for Dee came in a most heartbreaking form when in 2015, SIFs uplifted Dee's 3 mokopuna from their mother Carla, who was Dee's youngest daughter. History has a way of repeating itself, and sometimes we hear about family curses or generational curses, and that seemed true for Dee. Her children had witnessed a decade of seeing their mum beaten at the hands of their father, and now family violence had seen the removal of her mokopuna into the SIF system. Dee was faced with the decision to either make a change or lose her mokopuna to a system where she had no rights, no voice, and no control. Addiction had robbed her of any credibility, integrity, honesty, or responsibility. Dee self-referred to the Salvation Army rehab program and started treatment, and so we get to today in 2017. Dee has been in recovery for 14 months. It's been a journey of hard work, commitment, keeping plugged into strong supports, and always holding on to the faith and hope that she will one day be reconnected with her mokopuna. Te Ha's role in Dee's journey recovery was firstly to believe her, not to judge her. It was to plug her into other agencies because we can't do everything. And it was to have people who supported her, social workers that would assist in the dealings with SIFs. And nothing against SIFs, but sometimes it's really hard to engage with them when you have no credibility. To let Dee know that we trusted her, we supported her, we provided one-on-one counselling, group counselling, and an aftercare program such as He Wake Kino. Dee eventually relocated north and is now living in Kaikohe. She has her own little whare. She's bought a car. She has a part-time job milking cows. She's enrolled with North Tech and is currently studying and completing her Level 4 certificate in AOD counselling. She's active in her church. She attends weekly NA meetings and she enjoys living clean and sober one day at a time. I now want to ask Basina to come up here if she's game enough to. And I'm just going to share Basina's story. How did I get here? And where the hell did I come from? The answer is simple. I came from hell. My upbringing was good. Raised in a Christian faith and a belief system of good morals and ethics. The value of whānau and all its logistics. The part that I didn't get was belonging. My story isn't unique, but it's mine. Inside my mind, something told me I was effed up. I learnt to cope with things by denial, pleased others to the point of losing myself, becoming so dependent on gaining others' approval that I no longer existed, but came an existence of my environment. That was my survival. I started using marijuana at 13 and then graduated to alcohol at 16, which I hated, but I loved the effects of being on that emotional roller coaster. My drinking became my solace, an outlet of expression. Marijuana became my slowdown and my wall of deflecting. I graduated to harder substances when I started working in hospitality, and this is when my mother took away my oldest son at 18 months old. This opened up a world of more alcohol and more drugs. My life seemed successful on the outside, but inside it was like barbed wire was ripping me apart. On my 40th birthday, I hit a massive low. Planning my suicide was becoming real. With 2 attempts of ODs, I weighed 52 kilos, and at this stage, I was using meth and cocktailing it with prescribed meds, alcohol and marijuana. I wanted to die. I waited for death. Life had become slavery. In reality, I had become a slave to the life of escaping. My turning point was, it's midnight. I'm in the bathroom. I'm trying to get a needle in. The shower's going to the hundies. I'm fried off my face. And one of my mokopuna wake up and open the door. That moment changed my life. I asked for help the very next morning from a colleague who worked in Hauora. She was my saving grace, my love that I had lost, and she believed in me and she gave me hope, where I didn't know where to look for hope. She said, stuff the rest, I'm referring you to the best. And she sent me to Higher Ground, a therapeutic rehab environment in West Auckland. I entered into Wings Trust, a pre-admission sober living program before Higher Ground, and that was another miracle, because by this time my husband had left me, my children were hurt and betrayed, and I had no choice but to leave. And it was a blessing to come halfway up the country to get away from my family and start to heal. My journey had begun. Wings Trust, Higher Ground, NA and AA kept me clean and gave me the tools to stay clean, but there was something missing that I couldn't find. As time went on, I found a rōpū called He Waka Eke Noa, and they had developed an aftercare rōpū that just sung waiata and done hakas. My first impression was just another bunch of dumb Māoris with a guitar. As relationships grew in this rōpū, so did I, in accepting myself as a Māori woman in recovery. My journey in recovery has been about self-discovery, unlocking myself using the keys of faith, belief, trust and love, to surrender to something greater than me. God made me for relationships. I cannot do this on my own. He Waka Eke Noa has been pivotal in keeping me clean. It is my whānau away from my whānau. It gave me a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose in life, and a life of healing. I am now studying in my second year at Laidlaw College doing my BA in counselling. I work part-time at Te Ha Oranga as an alcohol and drug peer support worker. I have reconciled with my husband, and next year we will be celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. My children are active in my life and I have 2 beautiful mokopuna. My whānau back home see my journey, and we have supported many other family members into recovery over the last 3 years. Finally, I love Jesus. I love the fact that he died on the cross for me, a faith I never imagined I would have, and praise God for his sacrifices that he has made for me, and the Holy Spirit that helps me in my days ahead. I am worthwhile. Kia ora, my name is Basina. I am an addict, and I am 1 year, 10 months, and 21 days clean today, the 25th of November, 2017. So just in summary, in closing, I just want to say, maintain your point of difference as a health provider, you know. Don't just talk about Māori models of practice. Live them, breathe them, demonstrate them, and be able to articulate them. Permeate the worldview of Te Ao Māori within your organisation, within your workplace values, and make no apology for that. Stay connected to your community, whom you serve, and listen to what they say. It's important. Maintain relationships. We need our colleagues in every other health service. We cannot do it alone, and neither can they. Don't let contracts shape your service delivery or your scope of practice. Contracts are about money and numbers and outcomes. Delivery is about relationships and trust. Aim for clinical excellence. Our people are complex, high maintenance, remember that, high maintenance Māori men. They need health professionals who are great at what they do. We need people who excel in cultural responsiveness. Be creative, be compassionate, be humble and have fun. Māoris love sense of humour. We have a really funny sense of humour. And let's make a change. And I want to reassure Dr. Ruth Gammon that we will all try to be a garage that fixes the whole car and not just the spark plugs. So in closing, I just want to talk about making a change, and I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge all the expertise and dedicated people in this room who go to work every day, undertake study, research, everything that you do that is committed to making a change. I applaud you all. I would, however, like to acknowledge one particularly special person, and payback is a bitch. And this lady has committed her career to growing, teaching and moulding many of our nursing students within Taitokerau who have had the privilege of her teaching. She has been involved in providing clinical supervision to many nurses and community health workers, both in mainstream and iwi providers within Taitokerau. She's worked tirelessly on the Northland Asthma Society and currently the New Zealand Respiratory Board. She is an expert nurse in her field. She is committed to clinical and cultural excellence, and she's the culprit for my anxiety attacks and my high blood pressure. And so, Lou Jelena, you are a nurse that I have admired ever since I was a student. You are a respected colleague and friend, and I want to take this opportunity to say ngā mihi nui, ngā mihi mahana, ngā mihi aroha ki a koe taku hoa. And I would like you to come forward and receive a small gift from me, which is a CD, which are for sale for $20, but you don't have to pay for it. And then we're just going to do, as we did, we're going to sing you out. And thank you very much. And sorry for the time that I've pinched off the next speaker. So where are you, Lou Jelena?
Give
Guys, if you just want to turn around, you can wait there because you're going to do your little... And Tāne Ora's just going to come up and sing us out with Let's Make a Change. Yoo-hoo, no pressure. And Stuart's got a part in this too, but I said to him, you're singing after the haka, and he goes, I won't be able to breathe. So you'll have to lip sync, Stu. Now, is there a mic down there? Is there a handheld mic, mate? Can you grab it for Tāne Ora, and then we'll play the backing track, and then I promise we'll get off the stage. No, you stay up there. You're the centre of attention.
Kia ora.
Stu, get your breath back, Stu. Do you need that inhaler?
Check,
I've
check.
got a lapper or a lama. A lama? You want a lama?
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. See, that's us. Kia ora.
Open your eyes, let's make a change in this world tonight. Oh, let's make a stand, raise up your hands for a brighter day. So let's make a change, let's make a change in this world tonight. Let's make a change, let's make a change in this world tonight. I remember back in the days when I was living my life, I never wanted to make a change. I thought my life was alright, but now I know the reason I was put on the surf to take care of one another. Yeah, that's what we work to take control of our own path and giving thanks to the Lord above to keep our minds at ease. Now we can finally breathe to see the sunshine rise up into the night comes, into the day is long. You make a change in your life and you'll live long. So prepare for the struggles in your life. Don't let it hit you hard, cause you might not survive. So let's make a change tonight. Can you feel it in the air tonight? Let's make a change. Can you feel it in the air tonight? Can you feel it in the air tonight? Let's make a change. Can you feel it in the air tonight? Let's make a change. Can you feel it in the air tonight? Can you feel it in the air tonight? Listen, we stay true to this Kaupapa Māori, come let the world. Everybody know up in this fucker, it's a good thing. Come together, make a change to your Tikanga, if you know what I mean. Stay true to this Kaupapa Māori, come let the world. Everybody know up in this fucker, it's a good thing. Come together, make a change. You already know what I mean. Let's make a change. Let's make a change. Let's make a change in this world tonight. Let's make a change. Let's make a change.